Thank you. Welcome back to the Kenya presidential debates. And time now for part two. This is going to move quite fast. I hope the candidates are all ready. We're taking questions from members of the public who are with us tonight. And we start this session with a question from a gentleman based in Tana Delta area. Let's have Bwana Godana. Thank you so much. Go ahead with your question.
Godana Dara.
Start again, please.
My name is Ismail Godana Dara. I am from Tana Delta district. I'm asking this question on behalf of my fellow Kenyans. The problem of insecurity of late, we have observed a lot of women, a lot of children losing their lives because of insecurity. What are your future plans to curb this issue of insecurity in Kenya?
Thank you so much to each of the candidates. It's clear that both the domestic issues and external forces as well have contributed greatly to an increase in insecurity in Kenya, along our borders and within the country as well. What does your administration pledge to do for each and every Kenyan, irrespective of locality, social status, age? What is your commitment to this country? I'm going to start in the middle with Peter Kenneth.
Thank you, Julie. As your commander-in-chief, security will not be negotiable. It has to be absolute. Both internally and externally, if we have any threats. I've said in my plan, I will invest in security. I grew up in this Nairobi, when at that time, every police station around all cities had 20 police cars. 2 were reserved, 18 were on patrol, and they had to do 200 kilometers a night. Sadly today, with the population 15 times more, police stations have 2 police cars and have no fuel. I want first to undertake reforms within the police sector so that we can clear the few bad elements that are there and retrain the good elements. I realize that we have a housing shortage of our police officers to the tune of 27,000 houses. We have a shortage of 3,000 vehicles. Yet even the vehicles they have, they cannot undertake any patrols. It is a scandal, Julie, that our police officers can be killed in the manner they were killed in Baragoi by a better equipped cattle lustras. It is not acceptable. I will be hard on it. I will invest on security. The events in Tana River should never happen in a modern country. And not just Tana River. Not just Tana River. We need to equip our police. We need to empower them. At the moment, they are trying to do some job, but they can't do it without equipment. They can't do it without investments.
Fantastic. Peter, how will you finance this?
First of all, we have invested more in our armed forces than our police. Let me tell you, Julie, 10 years ago, our recurrent expenses were 160 billion. Today, our revenue is 800 billion. Our recurrent expenses are 850 billion. We can't survive that way as a country. We need to cut down. We need to reduce our expenses. We need to make a savings from our recurrent expenses.
Your time is up, but I'm going to give you 10, 20 seconds. Actually, tell us where will you cut back?
I am going to cut our recurrent expenses with unnecessary expenses in our budget, so that I can direct traveling, motor vehicle maintenance, and all the retreats and conferences that are taking up. I can assure you, having looked at our recurrent expenses, Julie, we can save between 150 to 180 billion of the current recurrent expenses.
Thank you. Let me come to Honorable Musalia Mudavadi now with the same question.
Yes, first I would like to address Mr. Godana, because he raised a very specific issue about Tana River. I was in Tana River area, Delta, early last week. And I want to state that they have a unique problem. Part of the problem is the economic situation and the communities that live there. One will have to have a multifaceted approach to this. You must create an environment where the communities are talking to each other and being able to resolve some of the issues without seeking violence. The other is a resource-based dilemma. We need to work on Tana River and the unique areas like Tana River in this country by making sure we can provide the basic issues, water, and be able to give them some of the very, very critical issues that they need so that they can avoid the conflict that they're going through. There was a commission that was put in place which is supposed to report on the causes of violence there. Up to this day, that report is not there.
Do you
it should
feel
come
much
up.
of the crime in this country is due to the struggle over resources?
Yes, the Tana River area is a unique area. It's largely a resource-based conflict. Over and above that, then the politicians capitalize on it to inflame the situation. Now, the second aspect of it, because that is Tana River and some of the unique areas like Tana River, but in the long run, we must invest appropriately in our security agencies. It's not just about having numbers, but they must be better trained, better equipped, and this can be done by prioritizing issues of security, so that when we do allocate resources, we allocate them to the priority areas.
You have 20 seconds. Can you give Kenyan specifics? When you say better training, better equipped, what are you pledging to the nation?
Communication equipment, it has to be there. The mobility of the police must be there. And then the training to be able to detect crime and get sensitivities of these issues before they occur. We must learn to create a situation where they can prevent. And to get the resources, I can tell you, if we prioritize our programs and our projects, because there are some projects that we have in our budget, but they will take a long time to consummate. But we can rationalize our resources.
Your time is up, and let me come to Martha now on the same issue. Martha, security critical, what would you do?
I would invest not just in security, but in the root causes. One of the root causes is poverty and underdevelopment. We need good communication in the Tana Delta, both the roads and other means of communication, and this deters even pursuit of criminals when they strike, and the ability to detect. It's generally an area like no other, and it's very, very vast. I would invest in technology. There is technology that can help police or security agencies to police such areas without having to have a policeman at every corner. And I dare say that also investing in the welfare, that is the salaries and work environment of the police officers to raise their morale. Also investing in the community by way of campaigning so that they become partners with the police. It is not possible to have a secure environment if the citizens are not involved. But I've said about equipping hardware and software, that is technology.
Let's talk about that technology. What does it entail? What exactly is it?
I am imagining that they should be able to use satellite, because that's the only way you can manage very vast areas. Baragoi would not have happened if we were using satellite. The police would have been able to scan the area before going there. Tana River would be easy to police, and I would make sure that I make sufficient investment to secure not just Tana River, but every citizen, that man, woman, and child. As they go about their daily business, they deserve security.
How would you
Securing
finance
our borders.
this? How would you finance your security plans, Martha?
I would begin with the exact budget that there is for security, cut wasteful spending first, make sure that the budget that is there is efficiently used. This is what I did with the water sector reforms. I didn't look for more money first. I first made sure that we efficiently used that money. And within 3 years, I brought down the cost of boreholes from 6 million to 1.5 million. It is possible.
I have to stop you there, but we'll come back to that issue of irresponsible or inefficient use of funds in our ministries. Honorable Raila Odinga.
Security has got two aspects, external and internal. First, we must make sure that we have secure borders, because we have got insecurity which comes as a result of small arms that come across the border because of the conflict in our borders. Here, our armed forces are equal to the task, and I want to congratulate our armed forces in front of Kenyans tonight for the splendid job that they have done in Somalia in trying to secure our border with Somalia. Internally, we need to continue with the police reforms. We must reform our police so that the policing is efficient. The reforms which have been started need to be continued and completed so that we have a police that is more disciplined, better remunerated, better equipped, that can then discharge their responsibilities effectively.
Let me ask this, Bonapiem, before you move on. As Prime Minister, what has happened in the Tana Delta, what we've seen in Baragoi, and many other parts of the country have happened under your watch. What's your comment on that?
You see, there are certain historical issues that we also need to address, like the issue of the border dispute between the two counties, that is the Tana Delta the Tana County and Garissa County. All these need to be resolved. But you need to know that pastoralism as a way of life has now become unsustainable in the light of climate change. So we need to find a way of diversifying the economy of our pastoralists so that they can actually be able to exist in this light of this climate change. We still have now the cowboy culture, which was existing in the United States of America in the pre-industrial era. And this is still happening in our society today. Then we need to also improve community policing so that there is trust between the community and the police officers to be able to do proper policing. Finally, there's the issue of poverty. The insecurity which comes as a result of poverty can only be dealt with by dealing with poverty among our people.
I'm going to come back to you because I think it would be great to have you give a comment to Godana, who is here today and has suffered at the hands of the insecurity on the government response and why perhaps it has failed to quell the issue. But let me come to Paul Muite now. Paul, what's your stand on the issues of both domestic and regional security?
First, as a commander-in-chief, I would take personal charge. And a powerful message will go out. It's no longer acceptable, it's not going to be tolerated for communities to take things into their own hands. I will deploy the GSU. If need be, I will deploy the army because the message has to get across. Whatever disputes you have, let us resolve them as a nation, otherwise done through fighting each other's.
So you'd be using a tough, you'd be using a tough hand.
I think a message needs to get across. Because if it doesn't, the communities next door would do it. Because that will give us time to invest in the police, the resources that my colleagues are talking about here, to retrain them, to vet them, and allow those who need to go home. And finally, it will give us time to address the root causes of it all, which is poverty. You need to come up with economic policies that are going to open up the country and give opportunities to every Kenyan wherever they are. That is long term. So immediate is a message that this is no longer acceptable.
Okay, a stern hand, a firm hand. Let me come to Mohammed first, and then I'll come through to Professor.
And the Tana River. Our political party, Alliance for Real Change, guiding principle is honest service to humanity. In Kenya, we have the best intelligence. And the Kenyan intelligence can tell you why 12 elephants were killed in 30 minutes. They can tell you, in the papers you saw and everybody read, that anybody, those who caused a problem and commotion and still causing in Tana River were they were moved. They were moved to the place. So when security officers cannot do their work because of poor governance, then the only solution is they should be uprooted and you get a clean team. The other thing is, I asked so many Kenyans, why is this problem recurring? And it is only in Kenya where 80% are Christians and 20% others. But you walk for 2 minutes and you see a board, Mganga.
Mohammed, so, I'm going to stop you there. I'm going to stop you there and ask you to address the question, which was, what would your government do?
They say the problem in Tana River will continue because some of these leaders are devil worshippers.
So what would your government do to resolve this situation?
The only thing is we implement the constitution. Let every Kenyan officer, let every Kenyan employee, anybody employed in Kenya to serve, it should be given the mandate to fulfill the obligation. We are very innocent Kenyans. When we hear the alarm of an ambulance, we keep aside. Maybe it is not a sick person taken to the hospital, and it is rolls kilos of bunk.
Okay,
So what we will do, what I will do is to put the right thing. We will call a spade and not a big spoon. Everything The judiciary has its function, the executive has its function. The Kenyan constitution is very clear. There's nothing like this or this used to happen, no. We need to put everything in place.